Welcome back, everybody, and happy 4th of July for those of you who are from the US. Just doing this next part of this tutorial, which is how to design a website from scratch. So the previous video, I did just mock up the website in Photoshop, Photoshop CC. And this part, what we're going to try to do is actually write it up in HTML and CSS. So here is basically what the finished product will look like, and it is fully responsive. So if I stretch it out, as you can see, the images and text all adjust when I do so. And if I go in further, you see I get the mobile display here. So it's pretty neat. And so this is what we're going to do here today. So before we get started, I just want to go over some of the things you will need. This is what I use in my workflow. So the first thing is the responsiveness that you see in these grids. I'm using Twitter Bootstrap for that, and this is what it looks like here. This is the website for it. Go back to Bootstrap. All right, so the responsive framework that I use, and the next thing that I use is also it's kind of a preprocessor for writing in CSS. I use SAS for that. Now, don't worry about that because I'll show you how I set it up here. But it's actually, once you get the hang of it, it makes writing CSS so much easier. The next thing I use is preproc, which basically helps convert SAS into CSS files for your browser. All right, so you can buy it for $29, or you can just download the trial. So for you guys following the video, just download the trial, and then we'll just go through that. All right, and then the last thing I use here is a text editor. Now, if you already have a text editor that you use or you're comfortable with, that's fine. Continue to use that one. It just, for me, I'm more comfortable with Sublime Text, so this is what I'll be using throughout this. So again, the Sublime Text, preproc for the compiling the CSS, SAS is the language, it's a script that I have that I actually included in my Sublime Text to write in, and then of course Bootstrap. All right, and for the website, the font that we actually designed it in Photoshop wasn't available on the Google font, so I just switched it a bit to use Source Sans Pro. All right, so to include that is actually down here. I'll show you when I go through the steps of the site, but include it in the header, and then add this in the CSS files, and you're done. All right, so without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with this. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and find a folder that you downloaded for this project and unzip it. And as you can see, we have this folder structure going on. We have the CSS, which is where you see the Bootstrap default custom CSS style here. We have the images. We can ignore fonts. Go to images. This is the images that we have for the project. Same as the first folder you downloaded. However, I did modify just a few of the images here, and I'll point them out when I get to them. The JavaScript folder that basically handles all the animation and the interactions for Bootstrap. And then SAS is the folder that I created to use the SAS processor or SAS compiler. So everything we write in this particular sheet here will get sent out automatically to the CSS folder, and it'll create its own style.css in that folder. All right, and so first thing you want to do is actually drag this folder into preproc, which will automatically compile the scripts for us. So go back to the folder here, Finder, and bring it into the project like so. All right, once it's added, all you have to do is click in here and click on style.css, and here on the right, it will automatically route it to the correct output. And from there, you just leave it alone. Just click on the tab here that says preview, and then open live preview. And this is what you get so far. As you can see, all we have was just a default banner. This is a starter one I just kind of configured custom for this particular project that we're working on. All right, and if you want to see the project, we're going to have to open it up into our text editor. Again, I'm using Sublime Text, which you also can download for free and use the trial version as well. So that's what I'm using right now, is actually the trial version on this system, since I just installed Mac on this computer here. All right, So we're gonna get the folder again and drag it here, and it'll display all the files here in this column. So you see everything here. So we'll go ahead and double click on the index file to open that up. And this is the the starter bare bones kit here. So the first thing we want to do, or I want to talk about, is the components within Bootstrap. So if we go to Bootstrap here, you will have to have some background or some knowledge in HTML and CSS before going forward, and I may include some links in the description that kind of get you a little crash course on that. But when you get back to Bootstrap here, these are the components that we will need. We're going to be using, of course, the nav bar here. So this is all the information regarding the nav bar, how it works, fully responsive. There's some other things here like CSS images, media objects. So basically any component that you want to learn about within Bootstrap, they have them all listed here. All right. So that's kind of how that works here. So if you jump back to our index file, actually, you know what? Back to the Photoshop document. And the first thing we want to tackle actually will be the hero section that we designed. I know the navbar is transparent here. We'll get to that in a minute. But first I want to tackle this hero section here. And to get that going, basically how I'm going to structure is like this. We're going to have a div class. This is what, in HTML, div class is basically like a container. And I'm going to give it an ID of hero. And then from there, I'm just going to encase everything in its own section. So this whole image will be the hero section. And we'll go down to a container, which will contain all the content from this page. So like the world's greatest body shop, all this here will be inside of a container. And then from there, I will label these texts out as headline 1 and headline whatever I choose that to be there. Okay. So to give you a visual of what I'm talking about, we'll go ahead and get started on that. So if we go back to the index.html, under the section that I labeled page content, you just want to go ahead and put your cursor there. And the first thing we're going to do is create the div class. So you just type div. Well, I'm using images actually, so let me just do it the traditional way. So if you just type in div and hit tab, it should automatically create the open and close brackets for the div. And then, so if you get it back into the first bracket of div, you want to do it a class. Actually, you know what? Not class, ID. An ID of hero for the hero section. And that will be it for this particular div. And then we want to do another div. We're going to give this one the class of row. And then we're going to do another div, which will give us the class of container, which will contain all of the content within inside. So as you can see, it's kind of like a box within a box within a box. Is how you look at it. So we got the div ID, which is the hero section, and we're going to have the class, div class of row, which will actually have the container inside of that row. Now from here, all we have to worry about is putting in the text that you see here. The world's greatest body shop, which I'm going to give that a H1, which is stand for headline 1. So we're going to put that in there, and then we're going to give this a H4 or headline 4. So if we go back to Sublime Text, the first thing I'm going to type here is this H1 tab and create the H1 blocks. And then we'll just type world's greatest body shop. Oops. And then down here, we're just doing H4. Oops, caps off. H4 tab. And then we'll just write the second line, which was, if you have your document open, you can see it here. Seriously, we mean it. And you see these guys off here so we can see better. There we go. So seriously, we mean it. So we'll go ahead and type that in here. Alright. And then next thing we have to do is the button. As you can see, Bootstrap also has its own custom and pre-styled buttons that we can use. So if we go back to their documentation, you can see some of the buttons here. You know, all you have to do is type in, give it a div class of BTN. Then you can change the size with BTN default, BTN primary, which gives you like a standard blue color. You can do BTN danger warning, and then you can also change the size by BTN large. So definitely, if you're not familiar with Bootstrap, definitely read through the documentation and kind of get a better understanding on how it works. It's pretty good platform. It helps with creating responsive websites. Makes it a lot faster and easier. All right, so we're gonna go back to this, and to create that button, all we're gonna do is actually we're gonna make the button a link that can be clickable. All right, even though it won't go anywhere at this moment, we're just gonna make a button. So first thing I do is create an A tag, which A tag is an anchor tag. So we create an A tag. All right, and if you hit A tab, it's going to create it just like this. href, which is where you'll put your link at. Right now, we'll just stub it out with a pound symbol. But we want to give this A tag a class of button. All right. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna show you what it looks like before I even do that. So the text is supposed to say what? Request a quote. All right. So if I just do that, save it. By the way, when you save the file you're working on, it'll automatically update it here. Okay. Which, by the way, I need to change the banner because, as you can see, part of it is cut off. So to change that, it'll be a quick fix. The reason why it's doing that is because the nav bar is set to stay fixed when you scroll on the page. We actually want it to be static, so when we scroll on the page, we no longer see it. Okay. So we just go to your document here, and the nav class at the very top here, the navigation section. Where it says navbar inverse, navbar fixed top, which change fixed to static. Not in caps though. There we go. And save it. And if we go back to look at it, now everything fits within the page. But now, what I was getting at, if you see when I want to create that link here, right here, the anchor tag, it just gave us a basic link, clickable link. But watch what happens when I add in the class for Bootstrap. So we do A, and we just hit space class, and we just put in BTN space BTN dash default, and then just hit save again. All right, we go back. Now you can see that it create a button around the text. Already pre-styled with their own default settings. So pretty good, pretty simple. Now we are going to override this to give it a blue color, and we'll do that when we touch on the CSS. Right now I just want to make sure we had this section done for HTML, which we basically do. So we have everything we need. We have the H1, we have the H4, then we have the button. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this section. The next thing we had to do is actually worry about the background on that end. Okay. Now there are different workflows. Some people will go and just do the whole HTML for the whole site and come back and style it. Me, I work that way sometimes. Other times I like to do a section, hop in, style it, come back, do another section, hop back in, style it. It just depends on the project for me how I want to do it. So what we're gonna do now is after we got all this set, we can go ahead and actually work up in the style sheet. So if we go back into our folder tree here, just click on SAS and double click on style.scss. This will open up a style sheet that we need to use. Alright, so now that we're in our style.css folder or file, I'm going to introduce a few things that we will use here. Now SAS is actually popular for using things like variables and mixins. So in fact, let me bring up the site documentation really quickly. So click on Learn SAS Variables. So this gives you the option to, which we will use I think one in this particular demo, but gives you the option to assign a certain name to a particular variable, whether it's like a style color or maybe it's a certain type of style. So that way you don't have to keep repeating it throughout your document. All you have to do is reference that variable. For instance, which is the same example we're going to use is like this one here for color. You have the primary color and then have it set to this number here. So anywhere in the document that you have the color of a particular section or text, all you have to do is include this particular variable in it, just like this as you see here, and that'll be it. This is the same as 333. So and the next thing we're going to use is also we're going to use something called Mixin, which is right here. And I will use this actually for the styling of the buttons. You'll see later on, and also like the background. But it just kind of helps cut down on, again, those repetitive tasks. One rule of thumb when it comes to developing website software or whatever it is to have this thing called dry, or don't repeat yourself. It's basically what it stands for. So this kind of helps out with all that. So back to our project. I'm going to go ahead and label out this section as variables and Mixin at the top, and then below that I'm just going to put the general CSS. So create comments, which comments are easy to create by hitting 2 slashes and then say what you want to say, ended it by 2 slashes. All right, so just do this here, 2 slashes, go on to the next line, and we're just going to say variables. Sometimes I ain't know about that. Don't know why. All right. Anyways, so the first variable we're going to create is actually going to be for the button, because if you look at our document, we have that button repeating within our page, the same color, the same style, everything up here at the top and then down here at the bottom. All right. So the way we're going to create that is we're going to create variables in SAS. You start with a $, and then you name your variable. So mine is easy. You just color. All right, and then color is actually, which I already have it written down, is pound 65 C2 F D. All right, that's it for that. All right, and then the rest of the mixins I'll add when we get to that point. All right, so let me go ahead and do the next section, which would be just for general CSS styles. So we'll go ahead and stuff that out. General CSS. That's right. All right. By the way, you don't have to be perfect with your labels. It's just something that I've done for I don't know how many years. So I'm just used to a certain way. All right. So, and if you look back, so we got the section here for general styles, and what we're going to do is actually style the hero section now. All right, so to do the hero section, basically we have to target this particular ID within our style sheet. So everything we do to this ID will affect all this in here and give us basically the output that we're looking for. So the target IDs in style sheets, you actually call them out by using the hash or the pound sign. So we'll just hit pound hero, lowercase, because whatever it has to match the case, and the font has to match exactly what you have written here for the ID. Otherwise, it won't work. So we have that pound hero, and we hit the curly braces. If you hit one of them, it's going to automatically, if you use a Sublime Text, it's going to automatically close it for you. So when you hit it once, just hit enter to make the space that you need. And the first thing we want to do to achieve the look we're looking for is add some basically some padding. So let me go back to the document to show you what I mean. So for right now, we just ignore the nav bar that is here, right? We have space from the top of the browser to the top to basically the first text here, and space from the bottom of the section to this area. So everything within, basically in this here, above and below and even to the sides, is all padding within it. Okay, so in order to have it to where we want it, we just have to create the section here. Now there's two ways to do padding. You can do it as pixels. So you can say, oh, I want the padding to be 200 pixels or so, but you won't have a responsive or fluid design when you shrink the web page. So in order for it to be fluid enough, we use percentages. So the percentage that I use for these guys usually is like around between 10 and 15%. So for this one, will be 10% on the top and bottom, and the size we leave that alone because we want to have it centered. So if we go back here, first thing we want to type, it was type in the word padding with a colon, and then we'll just say 10%, like so. And then I'm going to use actually the shorthand because you can either write it out like padding top, padding bottom, padding left, padding right, or shorthand. You will basically have 4 columns like this. You'll say that's a number, then it's a number, and it's a number, and that's a number. So that can be top, right, left, bottom, in that order. So it's 10% top, then you got right, left, right, then bottom. Or if you know the top and bottom and left and right is going to be the same, you can shorten it into just 2, where the 10% will be for top and bottom, and the 0 will be for left and right. We're going to leave those alone. So we just do it that way, short-handed. All right, and then let me see if I can bring this one up side by side so I can show you. I may have to shrink the window a bit. We'll try it that way, and I'm just going to shrink my Sublime Text window just a little bit so you can see just so you can see what's going on. All right, so when I hit save on this document, you should see it balance out just a little bit here. All right, and then next thing we want to do is we want to have the text align to center. So you try text align colon and the word center with a semicolon at the end, and there you go. As you can see, it moved it down in our position where we want it to be. All right. Next thing we want to do, which I'm not going to do just yet because we won't be able to see it, is that we actually want to color the text white. So as a matter of fact, what we should do is actually tackle the background first. Let's go back to the top of this. We'll just do the background. So we'll just type in the word background with a colon, and then since we have images we want to use as a background, we have to include the URL for the image. To do so, you just type in URL and then do the parentheses. All right. Once you get the parentheses, you hit 2 dots, which tells it to stay with the same. Go up a directory within our structure here. So it's going to come out of the SAS and go within standard directories, and we wanted to hop into images. So we just do a / images, and then we do another / and then the name of that file, which I have it labeled as hero.bg.png. So hero-bg, and then we close the whole thing here with the semicolon, save it, and you should see it pop there on the screen. All right, so now the first thing that jumps out to you is that, well, we can't see the whole image of the car, right? It's supposed to be a whole car there. That's because we haven't made the image responsive yet. We'll get to that on the next line down here. So under that background section, we're gonna do basically a background. We're gonna do what we call background size, and that will just cover the image across the size of the section. In essence, it would basically make the image responsive. So just type in background dash size with the colon, and then just hit the word cover like so, and save that. And now you can see the image has corrected itself there. All right. Now, one thing we actually do need to change is the background color. If you notice here in our document, the background behind the images, because images are change the transparency of them. So the background behind them is a certain dark gray color. So we can do that to the browser as well. Oops, go back. we do that to the browser's background as well, so this image will actually be darker and not lighter. So above the hero section we're working in, just really quickly, I'm just gonna target the whole body of this document here. So to do that, just easy enough, just type in the word body with with nothing in front, no hash or period, just body bracket, and then we're just gonna say background color. So background height color, and then the color is actually 29 times. So 292929. And save it. And there we go. So we got the background there. Alright, so let's back down to the hero section and finish what we're doing here. Now, we were doing the background size cover, which made the image fit within the box here. And technically, each browser behaves differently, so you're supposed to have certain prefixes for them. So for instance, for the Opera browser, you have a hyphen, O hyphen, and then you'll name it the same label we got above. So background size cover, and then we do another one for Mozilla. Actually, it'd be easier if you do this here. Just copy that. Just paste on the next line, and then just change the O to Moz for Mozilla Firefox, and then we'll just paste it again and change this one to WebKit, which is for Chrome and Safari. Alright, let's say that. So that way, no matter what browser the person is viewing the site on, it will all display the exact same way. And this was actually going to lead me to the next point, which actually we can create a Mixin. As I mentioned earlier, Mixin basically a way to incorporate large, repetitive tasks within one variable. So we're going to create this into a Mixin. So we go back to the Mixin section, and we're going to name it. Let's name it blue button. All right. So give it some space. So to create a Mixin, you just use the @ symbol, and then you type the word Mixin. All right. Or Mixin actually. Then blue button. So BLUE, down capital BTN. Is how I want to name it there. I mean, you can name it whatever you want, but I'm just naming it blue button for this project here. Do the brackets as normal, and then all you have to do is copy the same these WebKits here, these codes right here, and then you just throw it in that section. Actually, you know what? Now it's not the blue button. It's actually will be the background size for the image. So actually change that to BG size. Sorry about that. BG size, and then we'll just take this here, and we'll just put that in the section here. So now we can get rid of this all this right here, and all we have to type is just the shorthand method, which, as you can see down here, is @include. That's how you include the Mixin. @include BG size. So we put that here. @include BG size, and then just colon, because BG size, basically everything you see up here in this top box, all that is in this variable right here, or this keyword, BG size. And then if you go and save it, and you flip back to the document, as you can see, nothing changed. The background stayed in the back here. Alright, so now we can go back and focus on doing the text like we were doing before. So we go back to our style sheet, and we go down here to, where is it? Excuse me, text align center. We'll go ahead and work on the color. So for the text color, all you have to do is write color, and we want it to be white. Just type out white. Now change the color for everything there. And then the next thing we want to do is this section here that says seriously we mean it. We're going to change that to blue color. Alright, and if you remember from earlier, we created the blue color variable up here. So to target this guy, This guy, if you remember, is a this is a H1, this is a H4 element. So if we go back here and look, just double check, you see it's a H4 element for that. So if we go back to the style sheet, within hero section, which is why I like SAS, you don't have to go out here and do another one. Say hero, like your regular CSS, you do it, this is how you would do it. Hero, and then you have to say H4, and then do the brackets and say what you got to say down here, right? Well, in here, all you have to do is nest it inside of here. They know exactly what you want to do in SAS. So say H4 bracket, and then the color for this one, so all we focus on is just the color of the text. We want it to be blue color, so $ blue color, and then save that, and there you go. Change the text. See, so that's another cool thing there. And that way I don't have to remember what the actual number was. And in the future comes, like, say, another good reason I'm doing this is, say if you want to change the color. Say you don't like the blue color anymore, you want to change it to something else. Let's see, you can change this to like 75, save it, and it'll give you a completely different color. Well, here it just gives you darker blue, but basically you can change it to anything you want. So, like for instance, I would say this. You can change it to about red. Save it. There you go, save it, and you get a red color. See, so if you had this particular color anywhere else in the site, it would change them all at once versus going through the document, hunting for the section, and then try to change it that way. All right, so let's put everything back the way it was. All right, so we have everything we need. We got World's Greatest Body Shop. We got this text here, and then we got the button, which we'll style that here in a second. And so to get to the button, we can stay within the same hero block. You know we're still within it because the closing brackets down here at the bottom. So here we just hit enter, and then we want to target that section here for the button. All right. And now to do that, all we have to do is target the actual class of the button. So if we go back to the index file, the class of the button is this BTN defaults. All right. So that's what we target that, and that's basically gives it the effect that we see here on screen already, the default effect. So we want to change that to our own. So I'll just target default. And to target a class, it's different from targeting an ID. You target IDs with the hash you see up here at the top where it's hero. A class you do it with the period. All right. If you want to learn more about that, I was, like I said before, I'll include some links to CSS and HTML information so you can catch up on that. So we hit period, btn dash default, brackets, and then here, first thing we want to do is actually hit color. Now, I'm going to use the same method that I used for the variable and the mixins I did for the background size. We're going to create another mixin for the button color since we have to do it multiple times in this document. So we're going to jump back up here to our mixins, and below this, we're going to include another mixin. This time we'll call it blue button. So blue BTN. And then inside of that, we're going to go ahead and start basically writing the styles for the button. So the first thing is we want to tackle the background color. We want the background color to be the same blue color as the text you see above. So we're just going to type background color and then $ blue color. All right. Next thing, hit save so you can see a change. All right. Well, actually, let me put the mixing down here so we can see a change actually. Include, let me say blue color, or blue BTN, excuse me. If I can spell. There we go. So now if you look over here, you see it's changed. Now, I don't know if you can see it well on my screen, but you have a white border still around the box here. So to get rid of the white border, go back into our mixin, and we just say border. Simple enough, border none. There we go. So they get rid of that border. Now the next issue is our button is rounded on the corners, whereas in our original document is completely rectangular. So we have sharp corners there. So if we go back, what we want to do is take that away. And easy way to do that is we call those corners, the rounded corners, border radiuses. So, or radii. So border radius, and then we just set it to 0 pixels, and that will square it out for us. All right. The next thing we want to do is change the color. We want the text to be white, so we just type in color white. All right, and that is all for that section. So now we can use this variable, this keyword blue button. We can use that anywhere else in the page, and it would copy the exact same styles we created here. It's basically like reusable components. So now that we have that going, we want to tackle the next section. Before we do that, some of you probably already noticed, but we have a big gap here at the top, extra space here. So to get rid of that, we're actually going to have to move this up. Now, by default, this one was already set to 0. The margin on the outside is already set to 0. So technically, this is where it's supposed to be for this little section here on the elements or on the document. So for us to move it up, we actually have to push the margin up, which means we have to bring it into the negatives. All right, so target that because we're still within the hero section. All this we've done is the hero section. We just hop back down in our CSS to the hero section here, and we just go ahead and add. Let's see, I want to put it here. Let's put it above the background. So we're going to add a margin. Margin top. Let's put margin top and negative 70 pixels. Let's try that first to see. I think this is what we're looking for. Yeah, looks good for me. So we'll do that. Because again, you know, the navbar will be transparent, so that's fine right there. So margin top 70 pixels, and that brings it up. Now we don't have that nasty gap at the top. Alright, so that's all we're going to do for this video. In the next video, we'll tackle the next section here, which will be the services or features section. Alright, so we'll get going on that, and then I'll go ahead and explain more about the columns and how the grid system works at that point in time, because they will actually be important when we get to that section there. Okay, so definitely, if this video helped you out a lot, you know, leave some feedback at the bottom. Like if you like it, dislike if you don't. Leave comments, let me know what you think, and see you in the next video. All right, bye.